From the very beginning, we are conditioned to follow a script predetermined by society. For many, especially those who come from humble backgrounds, this seems inevitable. The concept of success is often limited to imposed standards, such as financial stability and social acceptance. However, blindly following what is expected of the crowd may not lead to true fulfillment. The world teaches us that to succeed, we must stand out from the rest, and this often seems an impossible task when we do not have the same opportunities. But there is something that needs to be understood. The limitations that you see around you are real but not insurmountable. Often, the biggest barrier is in our mind, fueled by a lack of references, by the absence of an example to follow. However, overcoming this begins with an internal choice, the choice not to be like the crowd. And this choice is not just about wanting wealth or fame, but about seeking what truly fulfills you. Different spiritual traditions, such as Hermetic philosophy and Asian wisdom, teach us that true victory comes from within. It's not about achieving what others consider success, but about discovering your unique purpose. Jesus taught us that the kingdom of God is within you, an invitation to look within and seek the truth that resonates with your soul, not with external expectations. For many, this breakthrough may be a quiet personal fulfillment, peace of mind, service to others, or simply living according to your own values. By refusing to blindly follow what the crowd is chasing, you open doors to greater freedom, the freedom to live your truth, not the truth of others. From the moment we are born, we are shaped by external influences: family, friends, society, and the media. Most people end up absorbing these ideas as absolute truths, without questioning whether they truly resonate with their very essence. Standing apart from the crowd begins with realizing that this social programming is just a construct. Breaking out of this mindset requires courage to challenge the status quo. Ancestral cultures offer us valuable lessons in this disruption. In the Asian tradition, especially in Buddhism, there is a constant practice of detachment from worldly concepts and values. The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, "He who follows the crowd will not go beyond the crowd." This leads us to reflect on how much we are influenced by what surrounds us and how often we forget to ask, "What do I really want?" Breaking these mental ties does not mean rejecting society or living in isolation, but finding a balance. In Christianity, Jesus was a great example of someone who, although he was in the midst of society, never allowed himself to be limited by it. He challenged conventions, faced authorities, and did so with the conviction that his purpose was greater than the expectations of men. And this is how we need to approach life. The crowd seeks conformity because there is security in following the most traveled path. However, true personal fulfillment comes when you dare to ask questions, break paradigms, and make decisions that are authentic to you. By challenging this programming, you take the first step towards living according to your true nature. This path is not easy. You may face criticism, rejection, and even self-doubt. However, this is the price you have to pay to live a life that is not just a replica of what was imposed on you. Consciously choosing your path is one of the greatest acts of freedom we can perform. We are often led to believe that we have no control over our circumstances, that life is something that simply happens to us. However, Hermetic philosophy teaches us that all is mind, and that our choices shape our reality. The external world is a reflection of our internal world, and to free ourselves from the mob mentality, we must begin to observe ourselves with attention and awareness. In our daily lives, we make countless decisions on autopilot, without realizing the impact they have on our lives. From choosing who we associate with to how we spend our free time, many of these decisions are influenced by the need to conform to standards. Conscious choice, on the other hand, requires a pause, a moment of reflection on what truly matters to you. Great spiritual teachers and leaders throughout history have spoken about the importance of this choice. The Greek philosopher Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And this applies not only to big decisions but to every small, everyday choice. If you want to stand out from the crowd, you have to be willing to make those choices intentionally and consciously, even if it means swimming against the current. In the Christian tradition, we see this example when Jesus deliberately chose to walk with those whom society marginalized: sinners, tax collectors, prostitutes. He did not follow the tide of social prejudice, but acted from his deepest values. Likewise, our ability to make conscious choices is what allows us to live according to our truth, rather than external expectations. Being conscious in our choices also means being willing to face the consequences of not taking the easy way out. This requires accountability, and at the same time, it brings an incomparable freedom. The freedom to live a life that truly has meaning for you. In an increasingly noisy world, silence has become a rare but powerful tool. Standing out from the crowd requires that you create space for reflection. While most people get lost in the constant noise of modern life, social media, news, other people's opinions, those seeking a meaningful life find value in stillness. Silence offers clarity, allowing you to hear your own inner voice, something that is often drowned out by the expectations of the world. Numerous spiritual traditions extol silence as an essential practice for wisdom. In Christianity, there is the example of Jesus, who often retreated to pray in solitude, seeking connection with God and clarity of purpose. In Taoism, Lao Tzu teaches us that silence is a source of great strength. Stillness is seen as an opportunity to align your inner self with the natural laws of the universe, understanding what lies beyond the busy mind and the constant need for action. Deep reflection helps us step away from the rush and the incessant desire to compare ourselves to others. It creates space to evaluate what really matters, and allows us to live more authentically and in alignment with our purpose. In Eastern cultures such as Zen Buddhism, meditation is used as a way to silence the mind and find answers that are not on the rational plane, but on the intuitive plane. It is a way to connect with something greater and deeper than the distractions of the external world. While the masses often act impulsively, reacting to the stimuli they receive, you can cultivate the practice of pausing and reflecting. This pause creates the necessary distance so that you can act deliberately and not simply be swept along by events. In silence, we find true wisdom, and by cultivating this practice, you strengthen your ability to live a life guided by your own truth and not by the expectations of others. When we talk about not being like the crowd, it is important to understand that the path to authenticity does not necessarily mean achieving success in the traditional way. The concept of success, widely spread by society, is often linked to material gains, wealth, fame, status. However, there are many ways to be successful that go beyond these superficial standards. Being different from the crowd also means redefining what success really means to you. In the words of Jesus, "What good is it for a man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his soul?" This phrase invites us to reflect on the true priorities in life. Many people dedicate their days and energies to the pursuit of accumulating possessions or gaining recognition, but forget to cultivate inner peace, genuine happiness, and connection with others. An empty success based only on external achievements can lead to burnout and a deep sense of dissatisfaction. Lessons from various spiritual and philosophical traditions teach us that true success is an inner fulfillment. Buddhism, for example, talks about enlightenment, which is the awakening to a deeper understanding of life and being. It is not about achieving something external, but about achieving a peace and clarity that is independent of circumstances. Taoism, on the other hand, teaches us to live in harmony with the Tao, the natural flow of life. This involves accepting that true fulfillment does not lie in fighting against the current, but in flowing with it wisely and consciously. When you choose not to be like the crowd, you realize that your path does not need to be compared to anyone else's. Society often imposes the idea that we can only feel fulfilled if we are ahead of others, if we have more, or if we are more recognized. However, the wisest cultures have always known that true happiness does not lie in competing, but in finding fulfillment within oneself. A powerful example of this lesson can be found in the words of Saint Francis of Assisi, who said, "It is in giving that one receives." This principle suggests that fulfillment lies not in accumulating, but in contributing. Those who make a difference in the lives of others, who live with compassion, generosity, and service, often find a sense of purpose that money or fame could never provide. Furthermore, by following a path that is different from the crowd, you discover that personal fulfillment is deeply individual. For some, it may come through great professional achievement, while for others, it may come in simplicity, in a quiet life, in genuine relationships, or in the daily practice of gratitude. The Hermetic tradition teaches us that, as above, so below, as within, so without. This means that the world you build around you reflects your inner world. The more you cultivate peace, harmony, and clarity within yourself, the more these qualities will manifest in your life. True courage lies in defining what success means to you and following that path, regardless of what others expect. Not being like the crowd takes strength because it is easier to follow what has already been established. However, those who dare to question, reflect, and follow an authentic path ultimately find fulfillment that goes far beyond social expectations. In the end, true distinction is not being the most famous, the richest, or the most admired, but being able to look at your life and feel that it is in tune with your deepest purpose. This is what it means to not be like the crowd, to live a life that is entirely your own, guided by your inner wisdom and the search for meaning that transcends appearances. This is the greatest achievement anyone can aspire to.